Welcome everybody. Welcome to GateWorld. We're doing a live hangout stream here today on a Friday afternoon. Hopefully you can see me okay. Hopefully you can hear me okay. We're going Bluetooth this week. I've got a new mic that is not set up yet, so we're still on the old mic. Let me know in the chat if you have any sound issues. We're going to bring in our special guest here momentarily, and we're going to talk Stargate today. Really excited to have you all here with us for another live hangout on Friday. We're going to do this one more time in December. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but when I asked this guest to come on and hang out with us and talk Stargate, I knew that Amazon was about to announce a new Stargate series. He did not know yet. And so now this is our first regular show back here for GateWorld live streams since the new show has been announced. Let's bring in my good buddy Allan Gowen from Ausgate and Gatecon. Allan, welcome.
Thank you, Darren. How are you?
Very well. Good to see you. All the way from Australia. Whereabouts are you at?
Nice. I'm on the East Coast, probably about halfway between Sydney and Brisbane, right on the beach type thing. It's a beautiful part of the world. I absolutely love it.
And you're living in the future right now. It's Saturday morning for you.
I am. It's tomorrow already. So, Australians are time travelers, so that's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. No spoilers. Don't tell me how it turns out.
Yeah.
I got things to do tonight.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
You know what,
go ahead.
I was going to say, you don't want lotto numbers or anything like that, Powerball numbers?
If you've got them, yeah, email me. Don't put them on the stream, but email me. Guys, we're so glad to have you here hanging out and talking Stargate today. We've got our mod team in the chat. Suns and Shadows is here. Raj Luthra is here. Who else is here? Our newest mod, Hellcat, is here. I saw him a minute ago. There you are, Hellcats. Thank you guys for being here. We've got some fun stuff to talk about today. Obviously, we have a new Stargate show, and we want to talk about that. We want to talk about what we know so far, what we hope, what we want.
Yep.
But Allan, you and I met. Did we know each other before I finally got off my butt and started going to Gatecon?
We'd spoken a few times before, and obviously I've known about GateWorld for like forever. But we didn't actually meet until, was it 2018 or
that was my first Gatecon. Yeah, 2018.
Yeah, 2018.
So, that's right. So we had known of each other, right? Big fan of the work that you've done on Ausgate for so many years, which we want to talk about.
Thank you.
But you're kind of the Australian me. Have been doing web stuff forever.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely forever. I've been. I'm lucky to hold the unofficial title of the longest running Stargate website on the internet. I mean, I beat GateWorld by about a month or 2 months, I think. That's how close it is. So it's, yeah, we've both been around since the beginning.
Yeah, there aren't many of us left.
No, there's something, just with websites, Stargate websites. And I mean, the only reason I'm, have the longest running website is through attrition. Websites haven't lasted and they've just dropped off. So it's, and I won't even say survival of the fittest. It's just whoever's left, and we've just kept going.
Who's left standing? Who's still animated enough by Stargate to pay the server bills and upgrade the software when sometimes software needs upgrading?
Yep, rebuilding websites over and over and over again, and just putting in the hours for it.
Well, chat, we're here to talk with you today. We're going to go for hopefully hour and a half, and we're hanging out with you. So we've got our eyes on chat. If anybody wants to pipe in and ask a question, you can @GateWorld in the chat to make sure that I see it. We're going to talk to Allan here for a while, talk about Stargate, talk about Fandom, talk about his work with Gatecon as the staging coordinator for many, many years at Stargate's biggest and I would say most important independent fan convention. Uh, I'm excited to get into it all. Do you want to start with you and your fandom, and then we'll maybe talk about new Stargate? When did you discover this franchise? When did you get into it? Are you an OG movie guy, or did you pick it up with
Oh
SG1?
yes, definitely. I'm an OG movie guy. The movie come out in 1994, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Everything about the movie I absolutely loved, and it stuck with me for years. It was just something I would return to and watch over and over again. And then in '97, when they announced that there would be a TV series, I just said to my wife straight away, well, I'm going to be watching this. And started watching it. The first episode, I can even remember myself sitting on the lounge watching it, going through it. I'm just sort of thinking, this is interesting. This is pretty good. But then, like with any new show, sometimes there's that little bite that gets you. And for me, the thing that totally sold me on the series was when SG1's been captured by Apophis, and then Teal'c turns, and then the key moment for me was when Teal'c turns around and Jack says, for this you can come with me, and he turns around and says, I have nowhere to go. And that was the line that sold me on the show. And from then on, I was absolutely hooked.
Yeah,
Absolutely
for this, you
hooked.
can stay at my place. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the Teal'c line. So I was a little disappointed when Brad did the special cut, and Chris Judge came in and redubbed all of his lines. And when he redubbed that line, he changed the inflection a little bit of I have nowhere to go. And I was a little bit disappointed at that. It was the inflection in the line that sold me, and then they changed the line. But yeah, I don't mind. And so from then on, I just kept watching the show over and over. And in Australia, the TV station, I think it was 7 in Australia, had it on in prime time, which was fantastic. And for an Australian TV channel to put sci-fi on during prime time was unheard of. And we got through season 1 and a little bit in season 2, and then they started bumping the times back. They'd get later and later. And then it got to the stage where, welcome to Australian TV, they'd wait 6 months, 12 months, a year and a half before they'd start showing episodes. And I started getting really disappointed with it. And by that time, I had a few friends overseas. And so I had friends literally taping the show and posting me VHS tapes, so I could watch the show at home. Within about a month of episodes happening. And so that's where it started.
Amazing. Sorry, I'm trying to do 5 things here. I just realized
You're right.
I haven't tweeted out that we're talking, so I'm trying to. I had all this staged and ready to go. Man, every different social media platform needs something else.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a similar story for me, right? I discovered the movie. I love the movie. I was a senior in high school. I had just graduated from high school actually when the movie came out, and then discovering that they were going to do a TV series, I was on board. I didn't get to start watching SG1 until after I graduated from college, so season 2, and then I went back and kind of backfilled and watched the first season on the Showtime had Saturday afternoon repeats. So I was watching season 2 and season 1 at the same time. But then we've got this gap where you start the show, you fall in love with the show, and then you decide that you're going to make a website about the show and invest your free time in it. What's the origin story for Ausgate?
Well, Ausgate was a bit weird because I was brand new to the internet. I heard some people at work, the young girls at work talking about the internet and things, and I was really new to it, and I'd only just sort of joined, and sort of got on there and watched the show, and through the internet, some chats and things like that. I There was one person I started talking to, and and they mentioned, I think, that they had a transcript of one of the episodes, and we were talking a bit more, and I just said, well, hey, why don't I just create a website and we'll put the transcript up? And and they sort of thought I was joking, so I went back and I pretty much taught myself HTML. And back in those days, it was just at the start of the GeoCities craze, where people just started doing sites everywhere, and the sites were terrible.
Yeah.
Some of the
Times New
I've just
Roman,
recently,
everything's centered. You
yeah,
can
I've
really
recently
spot
found
sites from that
a
era.
search engine for the old GeoCities sites, and some of them are truly horrendous. Um, but with me, I didn't go to GeoCities. I went to a host called Zoom with an X, and it was similar to GeoCities, but it wasn't convoluted. Like with GeoCities, you sort of went into an area based on the content of your website. So it was like a street address for the internet. So your website address was really long. But I went to Zoom because I could then go members.zoom.com/Ausgate. And that's the first name I came up with, Australian Stargate, Ausgate. And I started with a couple of small things like that. And this is where I started getting right into HTML editing and things like that. And I just discovered CGI scripts, and I decided to put a quiz on the site. So it was a self-building quiz. You could have a ton of questions, and it'd give you random questions and then mark you on the result. And then that become really popular, and I started adding more and more content, and and it just sort of grew from there. And then that was for the first couple of years, and then I started getting into actual website development, as in databases and scripting and things, and then it started becoming the site it is today, where everything's dynamic. It's a self-building site. You could travel through the site, and that's when I come up with the idea of making the site a journey through the Stargate universe. So when you join the site, and as of still today, when you first join the site, you start off at season one, episode one, Children of the Gods, and you're on. Uh, I think it actually starts on Jack's roof, where he's looking through the telescope.
Nice.
Um, and then within each episode, you literally travel within the locations within the episode. So you'd travel to the SGC, you'd travel to Jack's place. You would travel to Chulak to get Daniel, and each location within each episode has things attached to it, like quiz questions and I think we call MALPs. Oh, well, I call them silent circuits because MALPs, I don't like using that word, although everyone else does, um, because way back in the beginning, when Ausgate first started, I did an internet search, and this is a couple of years before Google even existed. Um, so you were using things either like Yahoo or Alta Vista search. And if you did a search for Stargate, now on Google, you would come up with thousands of pages of results. When I did my first search for Stargate, it came up with 3 results. And I can even tell you what those 3 websites were, so I remember them vividly. It was Ryan Peters' StargateSG1.com. There was SG1.net, which was run by a guy called Sean. And the third one was called Bester and Glory's Stargate SG1. And their website, because some of the crazes back there in the beginning was people, discovered animated GIFs, and Bester and Glory would make animated Stargate buttons. So if you hover over a button, the image would change. They unfortunately didn't stick around for long. And then also, unfortunately, the other 2 sites no longer exist as well. I'd love to, at some stage, do a bit of an expose on the history of Stargate websites, because it's an interesting history. A lot of good people out there doing a lot of good things that through circumstance, their sites no longer exist, and usually circumstances out of their own control.
We were just talking about Sean on GateWorld Forum today. I remember the SG1.net site, and how Sean ended up working for MGM.
And then, in my opinion, MGM screwed him over. Basically, they gave him I think it was like a 1-year contract, and in that contract, basically Sean was selling his website, his content. He was selling him to MGM, and then after a year, MGM basically went, we're not going to continue with this, and literally shut the site down. And all of a sudden, Sean is left with absolutely nothing, because everything he's worked years to build, MGM just now owned, and they literally picked it up and they put it in the trash.
I didn't realize that MGM had the initiative there. For folks who aren't familiar with this, or are not as old geezers as we are, SG1.net was the original Stargate fan site. It was before GateWorld. It was before Ausgate, I assume, if you're just a few months older than I am.
Yeah.
And Sean did some really cool content. He was a high school guy, and he did some really cool stuff. And he got kind of picked up by MGM, as you said. They sort of, incorporated him, bottom up, lock, stock, and barrel, and incorporated the website, the fan site, kind of made it official. And then he was doing content for them for a little while. What I had heard was that he was, I think he was 17 when he started working with them.
Yeah, he was only young,
And then he graduated and went off to film school. And that was kind of the last that anybody had heard of him. I didn't realize that MGM had kind of decided this is as far as you go.
That's my understanding. That's what happened. And at the time, I don't quote me on it, but I think Sean was quite disgruntled by it all.
That's too bad.
Especially after the way they set it all up and they got him in. I mean, basically the initial contract sort of negotiated meeting took place at a restaurant. And so Sean is sitting down with, department heads at MGM, and Richard Dean Anderson walks in. So that was the big surprise for Sean. So I was like, oh my God, Jacques O'Neill's here. And that's, well, sometimes I have a bit of a negative view on it. That's how they suckered him into it. That's how they got control of his content. But historically, MGM have never been very good at things like fan engagement and things. Pretty much everything that MGM tried over the years has failed in some way, which is a bit disappointing. But there have been some really, I will say, great people at MGM that really embraced the fandom and understood things. But then once their tenure had finished, someone else would come in that didn't understand fandom, and they would just let things fall to the wayside. And
Yeah, and
it was quite disappointing.
for those of us who have been around for so long, um, right, we're now 26 years for our sites. That spans a lot of MGM, administrations, a lot of regimes, a lot of executives have come and gone. The company has fallen into the hands of different owners, probably at least 3 different sets of owners since we've been doing our sites. And of course, the official Stargate websites have come and gone. We've outlasted
Yeah.
many,
Yep.
many iterations of the official site.
Yeah. The official sites, games, um, the fan club as well. At one stage, MGM created an official Stargate SG-1 fan club.
Yeah,
That was called Explorer Unit, and that was run by a guy named Gary Hansen, who ran Lightspeed Fine Art.
that's what I was going to guess. That was
The
Lightspeed, wasn't it? Because
That
they
was
did two
Lightspeed. Yep.
kits, and I have them both.
Yeah,
I
yeah, the
think it was
Explorer Unit
Lightspeed.
kits.
Yeah.
That was really good. And then they brought in Kate Ritter as the editor, and Kate was the one who created the original Richard Dean Anderson fan club.
Yep.
And
She's
I haven't seen it for
artieanderson.com.
yeah, artieanderson.com.
And I have her book.
And nice. I don't think I ever got one of those.
Yeah.
And nice.
Yeah, that's the printed version. She did the before we did the Omnipedia at GateWorld. She had the online encyclopedia that was covering every person, place, or thing in the show, and then this is the sort of official version that they did. They put out the licensed version through DK Publishing. So that's a really nice, full glossy with a disc. Mine's unopened.
Nice. And then with the fan club, with the Explorer Unit, I was the web developer for that. So I did the website, and I had a cool title of online editor. So I got to do an opinion piece every month for the website.
Nice.
So that was really cool. I really enjoyed that. And it didn't last too long. I think it only had a lifespan of about 6 to 12 months, and then I think MGM have just done their usual thing and dropped it as well. So it was good. I was part of an official fan club for a certain time in a certain degree, and I absolutely loved it. And Gary Hansen is just one of the most loveliest guys on the face of the planet.
Nice.
He's he was really dedicated. He wanted it to work, but for whatever reasons behind the scene, it was another Stargate project that didn't have any longevity.
Didn't have longevity. I had kind of a similar experience with the magazine, the official magazine, which of course ran a bit longer. It ran for several years. I don't know offhand how long the magazine ran, maybe 4 or 5 years. Titan Magazines did that, and I got to be their sort of news editor because we were already doing all this work for GateWorld, so we could kind of synthesize the latest Stargate news coverage and do the little 2 to 4 page news section at the start of the official magazine. So I got to work with the folks at Titan, Sharon Gosling and Natalie Barnes, and that was a terrific experience. But I'm sort of fully aware that market conditions mean it's not going to be around forever. It's not going to be a 25-year project like a fan site. It's going to be there as long as the market supports it and the fan base supports it. People are buying the issues, Titan's making money, MGM's getting its cut, but it's finite, and it came to an end.
Yeah. And like I said, it's usually things come to an end because it's usually a person in a suit sitting behind a desk looking at a bit of paper that makes decisions. So there's, it annoys me that, Stargate has always had the dedicated fandom there that will pretty much, we'll lap up anything they want to give us, but they give us a little bit, then they stop it. They take it away. They give us a little bit more. They, give us big announcements about games that are going to come out, and they're in development for 2 years, and then they never release the game. So it's annoying. And from someone who's so back in 2001, Gatecon actually received a marketing license from MGM and to produce a series of posters, a 2002 calendar, keychains, and I can't remember what else. It's over 20 years ago, and that was great that they gave us the license to produce products, but the problem was the just like the images that we were allowed to use in those products. Then they sent us out a CD which had a series of images on it, which were the only images we were allowed to use on our products, and that was okay for, say, for the calendar. Richard designed the calendar. He had enough to put monthly images in, and they were okay size for the calendar. But for me, I created the posters, and most of the posters went really well, except, at that stage, my favorite character was Tilk, but the images they sent us of Tilk and Christopher Judge were just so low quality, we couldn't blow them up to a poster size. Actually, just bringing that up, if you can go full screen on me, Darren, I'm going to show you something. Okay, so I'll try and get out of the road so the focus shifts. So if you can see that poster right there.
Yeah, I see Peter.
That's one.
Chris.
That's so Peter and Chris, I had to design that poster that way because the image of Chris was so bad.
Oh, it had to be small.
I had to make it smaller, and the one they gave me of Peter was brilliant quality. So it was either a case of I make a poster like that, or I don't make a poster at all with Teal'c in it, which was I couldn't do. I had to have a poster with because I had Sam, Jack, Daniel, and then I needed a Teal'c. But the only way I could do it without having absolutely crap quality was to have Peter at the top. But that poster there caused a bit of a stir.
Yeah.
Because Chris saw that poster and went straight to someone. I'm not sure if it was. Yeah, that was it. So
I'm the star. What's Apophis doing here?
Yeah, that was exactly it. And Chris was not happy, and it got back to me, which made me feel bad. But there was nothing I could do. If MGM were just giving us really poor quality content for us to use in official products. So I did that. Everything was sort of okay in the end. And then in the series, there was also another poster I created, which was more of a Gatecon type poster. So it was a picture of Cheyenne Mountain, which luckily isn't copyright by MGM, and it was an entrance into the Cheyenne Mountain entrance, and I put a big tagline on it that basically said where the adventure really begins. And the cool thing about that is at that time when I released the posters, they all got printed and were delivered to one of the other members of Gatecon at the time, Sue Seeley, and they got delivered to her place. And she lives at the base of Cheyenne, pretty much at the base of Cheyenne Mountain. From her backyard, you can see the entrance to NORAD. So that's how close she is. And her husband was in the military as well. So she knows all the generals and everyone that works at NORAD. And she gave them one of those
She gave them a one.
posters. Yeah.
That's
So
perfect.
the cool thing is that poster actually got hung on a wall in Cheyenne Mountain, and they loved it so much they wanted to use it. It was like a not like a marketing thing, just like a morale booster, because people would walk in and see where the adventure really begins, and they sort of go, "Oh, this is cool. I work here. This is fun."
Yeah,
So for many years, one of my posters sat inside
that's so
Cheyenne
cool.
Mountain. So that was really cool.
Yeah,
I
I
was
work
very
here.
proud of that
There
one.
may or may not be a Stargate 28 levels deep.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
So that's
That's really
good.
cool.
Um, yeah, so after that, that was the only year we ever got anything official.
Okay.
At the time, that was a lot of thanks to Hank Cohen, who was the president of MGM International Television Distribution. He had a really long title like that. And Hank was the most loveliest guy on the face of the planet. He came along to Gatecon. He come up on stage. He talked to everyone. It was our very first convention. So that's when we had, Brad Wright and all of the producers, writers, and everyone was there. And Hank was a great ally to have within MGM. But then, unfortunately, after that, that's when MGM started getting into money problems and things went south a bit.
Yeah. Well, let's come back around and talk about GateCon in a few minutes.
Yep.
Guys, if anybody in the chat has questions for Alan or for me about Ausgate, about fan sites back in the day, I was saying one of our buddies who is in chat here started a remembering Stargate fan sites thread on GateWorld forum, and I was posting in there earlier today and saying, after what happened with Sean and his site basically going away because it became the official site and then they decided to do
Yep.
something completely different, so it was no longer available. What's helped GateWorld to survive? I'm interested to hear this from your vantage point as well, but what has helped GateWorld to survive so long is MGM supports us, and sometimes the best
Yep.
support is just leaving us be, just
Yeah,
leaving us alone to
absolutely.
do our thing. But
Yep.
also the fact that we've sort of stayed fiercely independent. We
Yes.
we don't take notes from the studio. We don't clear stuff
Yep.
with them ahead of time. And I was very conscious of the fact that I did not want to go the route that Sean did. I never wanted to become the official Stargate site. I never wanted them to buy out GateWorld.
Yep.
And to MGM's credit, they never tried. But
Yeah.
what's your
And
experience?
well, likewise, I'm going to draw a parallel with another website. And this is a site that only ran for a couple of years. Like it had a very short lifespan. And that was Ryan Peters, StargateSG1.com. And it was pretty much one of the first ones. And he created, in the eyes of a lot of people out there, the best Stargate website that has ever existed. And I was on that website. I loved the website. And I started Ausgate not long after that. And there was a lot of parallels between the two sites. Ryan was more, had his site sort of teams based, so everyone joined a team. I was SGA, and then everyone had military ranks that they would obtain during the sort of their journey on the website. And Ryan's was the most popular website, but then both Ryan and myself with Ausgate both came up against the exact same issue. And at that time, that was server hosting and costs. And back then, trying to rent a server was excruciatingly expensive. So Ryan come out, it hit Ryan first, and Ryan basically said, "Look, guys, if something doesn't happen soon, I'm going to have to shut the site down because I can't afford the servers. And and so this was the first time I'd seen the Stargate fandom get together and rally behind something. And the fans petitioned Showtime, and they stuck at Showtime, and they kept hitting it and hitting it and hitting it, saying, "Look at this guy. He's created the best Stargate website out there. Please, can you help?" And in the end, Showtime turned around and said, "Yeah, sure. What we'll do," because I believe Ryan wasn't, I'm not sure if it was a special effects guy or an animator. Um, Showtime hired Ryan, and in part of the contract type thing, they allowed him to keep doing his website, which was great. But then, a parallel to Sean, that meant that Showtime then owned Ryan's website. And then we
So
all
this was
know
the
a couple
one.
of years.
This was the site that a lot of us remember from back in the day when Stargate was on Showtime for the first 5 seasons of SG1 that had little mini flash games.
Yeah, that's it. That was it.
Yeah,
And
going through
every
the
now and
ranks. I
then,
remember, advancing in ranks. You play the mini games. You
Skara
try
would pop
and
up, and you had to click on Skara before he attacked you and stuff like that.
that's right. Chlorel.
Yeah,
Try
so
and stop the iris from heating up. I think
that was it.
there's a
And
Death Glider game maybe. I
yeah, there
remember,
was a
and I
Death Glider one.
remember addresses, seeing address.
Yep.
I don't know if there was a DHD dialer or what it was, but I
Yeah.
remember addresses in a flash game.
Yeah. And I mean, and then Showtime didn't renew the show, and it went to Sci-Fi. So unfortunately, Ryan's site had to close because the site was now owned by Showtime. So another thing. So
Another
that's when
casualty of history. Yeah.
about a year later, or within the same year, I come across the same problem. I was lucky enough at the time, I was working as a web developer, and I worked for one of Australia's largest print media companies, or the second largest print media company and the largest rural print media company, called Rural Press. And the thing was we were allowed to have our own web space on the company web servers, which was great. So I started developing Ausgate on there, and at the same time, for our normal everyday work, we were creating Australia's first interactive or database-driven newspaper websites, because Rural Press owned like hundreds of rural newspapers. So we created all the websites for them, or in fact, then we created pretty much one website that you could rebrand, and each newspaper could have different content. So we were working on that, and Ausgate was on the same server. And I got a call one day from the head of IT, who from head office in Sydney, and he picked up the phone. He goes, "Oh, hi, Alan, it's Tim." And I went, "Oh, the big boss is calling me. This can't be good." And he just goes, "Hey, we're going to have to shut your site down." And I went, "What? Why?" He said, "Because all of those newspaper websites we've got, and we're Australia's largest rural media company. Your website is creating too much traffic. You're actually creating more traffic than the Australia-wide chain of websites for the newspaper." And he says it's slowing our sites down.
It's dragging the server down. Yeah.
He just goes, "So you've got to move it, or you've got to shut it down." I went, "Oh, can you give me a bit of time?" So I went back to Ausgate and let everyone know what was happening. And here we go. We're in the same boat again as Ryan was. It's either shut down or find a new host. And so then the Stargate users started rallying around and contacting other people. But where both Ryan and where we differed was, I was finally contacted by someone who was an independent server person, was actually at that stage, it was someone who owned an IT shop in Wisconsin, I think. And
Yeah, me too, except my guy
and
was in
he
Australia.
yeah, and he contacted me, and he was a user on Ausgate as well, and he said, "Oh, I hear you need some new web hosting." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, look, I just need a bit of space on a server somewhere," and he said, "No, I'll give you a server." And I sort of went, "Excuse me?" He said, "No, I will give you a server, a whole server. It's yours to do whatever you want with. Move
Wow.
Ausgate across. We'll make sure Ausgate's got a home." So that was absolutely fantastic. And Ausgate has stayed with the same, well, I won't say the same server because it's about 5 servers later because we had to upgrade technology and
Yep.
we've had some server crashes. But up until about only 6 or 8 months ago, it's still been with the same person. We're now at the stage where I've had to take over paying for it myself. So it's another cost for me. Um, but, I had that white knight that literally saved Ausgate, and it saved Ausgate's future because we weren't being tied to a corporation, a company, a contract. It was mine to do with however I, needed to do stuff.
Wow.
Um, Although probably the biggest issue with me is finding the time to get things done. Like at the moment, I've been trying to do a full ground up rebuild for the past year and a half,
Yeah.
and it's probably at minimum another 6 months away. But I'm excited about it because it's a new, fresh update. It's got a lot of new features in it, new sections,
Good.
and things like that.
And with a new show
And
coming, there's no time like the present.
well, that's the thing. Now I'm sort of thinking because you travel through all of the different series, I now have to make space for a new series, which means I have to shuffle things around a bit. But I've got 2 sections I can combine into one and make a new space
Good.
for the new series.
Yeah, my
Okay.
experience with GateWorld was exactly the same. Basically, it was the site got busy enough and popular enough that that free hosting where you sign up with a hosting service for 10 or 20 bucks a month. Suddenly you're choking out every other client that they're hosting. They're hosting 200 sites on that server, and GateWorld is using 99% of the bandwidth. So there was that window of time where we could upgrade to a dedicated server from, going from like 20 bucks a month to maybe 250 bucks a month, which the site couldn't afford and I couldn't afford, or the site was going to die. And we faced that and had a white knight. Greg from Australia came along and he was running a hosting company. He was a big fan of Stargate and he just took care of us. And we're still with Greg. He moved on. He's had a whole career in the 20 years since, but we're still hosted there, and he's keeping the site online, and it's just an amazing gift. But it's that same sort of situation where
Yeah,
there's
it's
this
common,
this
isn't it?
period of time where the site was not yet making enough money to pay for itself, and we had to
Yeah.
cross that gap, right? That void between galaxies, where the site was
Mm.
rapidly growing, and we started putting ads on the site. Yeah, as much as everybody hates ads on the internet, that
Yeah.
enables us to pay the server bill. We're not hosted free, but it enables us to pay the server bill. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's. I mean, I shouldn't be
yeah.
surprised that you had the exact same experience.
Yeah. It's across the board. But I tried going down the ad route, putting ads on the site, trying subscriptions, things like that. There wasn't much of an uptake with subscriptions. I mean, this is years before Patreon as well.
Yeah.
And ads, like I said, were just annoying. So I eventually just removed the ads. So Ausgate's always been free. It's ad free. You don't need to pay. And everything, I've just paid for it all out of my own time and obviously now paid for it out of my own pocket. And like you were saying before, like $250 for a server, you got to remember that $250 was however many years ago. So in today's money, that would equate to $500 a month, and that's a lot of money, especially when you're starting out and your website isn't a business and you're not generating income. You're paying for it out of your real job, and that's the thing. I mean, everyone's also got real lives, real jobs to do, and the websites are just a bit of a passion, a hobby on the side, but you've got to keep pushing through it. But yeah, a lot of people will see it and think, oh, yeah, this is all I do. I only do the website. No, I've got a job to try and
Passion
earn the money
project.
to pay for the website. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, very good.
so money everywhere.
Let's go check in on chat. Drummer Woman 8760. Just a quick hi for Alan. Long time no see.
Hello, who was that?
Drummer Woman 8760.
Well, that doesn't help me. I have
That
no
doesn't ring
idea
a
who
bell?
that is.
That's not an
No,
Ausgate username?
no, not that I can remember. I know names, but I'm terrible with names as well. I'm really good with faces, but I'm terrible with names.
Okay, Jeremy asks, so MGM never tried to buy or interfere. What about Showtime or anyone else? You've told the
No, with
story
Ausgate.
of Sean's experience with MGM and Ryan's experience with
Yep.
Showtime, but with Ausgate, they pretty much
Not a
left
thing.
you.
I think I flew under the radar for such a long time, because Ryan's site sort of had the popularity, had all the focus on it, and Ausgate just quietly grew in the background. Um, and MGM weren't really active in looking for things like that. They were the total opposite to Paramount. So in those early days, around the same time, Paramount, and you'd have to think, what a bunch of idiots. Paramount turned around and started hunting down Star Trek fan websites and then attempting to shut them down, because they were breaching copyright laws by using copyrighted images of the show. And so, yeah. So Paramount tried shutting down all of the Star Trek fan websites, but luckily MGM weren't into that. So and Ausgate, literally flew under the radar for a while, for a long time actually, and it just had its, I won't say mega huge following, but it's had its constant following even to this day, which is quite good. I mean, the numbers have dropped off a bit, especially possibly because the site is starting to age a bit. That's why I'm working on the new one. And just a note for anyone that is watching, if you go to the website and you try and create an account, and if you don't get the email with a verification code, I think Darren might put in the comments just a way to get in touch with me so I can manually verify the accounts. It's just because the server technology is 10, 12 years old now, and it doesn't like sending emails to certain hosts, like if you've got an AOL email address or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's ways to contact me.
Discord's going to be the best way to get support.
Yeah, probably Discord. Discord's the best way. Either DM me or look for the Ausgate Discord server and jump on and say hi there as well.
Good. Jeff at Suns and Shadows asks, what's the most random yet most fun experience you've had through the years with Stargate? We haven't even talked about Gatecon yet, but what's the most random or most fun that you've had through getting to do all this?
Random. Random would be sometime. Well, no, I'll go back to the very first Gatecon, and we arrived in Vancouver, and this was our first convention. We had never ran a convention before. Luckily, the people at Stargate Productions, Bridge Studios, were mega helpful, and they invited us over to the studio to have a bit of a, not a meeting, a bit of a chit chat with them. And we sat down in the meeting, and they sort of said, "Oh, what are you going to do for your stage?" And I said, "I'm going to build an SGC as the set of GateCon." And they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, it's going to be inside the gate room, and I'm going to have a half-size, three-quarter Stargate." He said, "How are you going to do that?" I said, "Well, I carve I carved a section of Stargate out of plaster of Paris. So carved it by hand, and then I
Wow.
did a fiberglass mold, and packed it
That
in
is
my
serious.
suitcase, brought it all the way to Canada. Yeah, with me. Still got a photo somewhere of me doing it, and I'm gonna I'll get some foam, and I'll fill the mold full of foam. I'll make 12 sections, and I'll stick it all together. And they went, "No." And this was John Smith, who I absolutely loved to death. And he just went, "No." And I went, sort of, "What do you mean no?" He says, "No, you're going to go over to Norco, and we're going to help you build it."
They're going to build it, yeah.
I went,
And John Smith,
"Yeah,
executive
you
producer
said,
on Stargate SG-1.
yeah." And I just sort of went, "Are you serious?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely." So we got taken to
That's
Norco, which was
amazing.
their set construction facility, and they basically said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want a stage set that looks like inside the SGC." Um, so they pretty much built the walls for us, and then they painted it for us. So the very first GateCon, the set was constructed by the Stargate crew. The paint on the walls is the same paint from inside the SGC. Um, and then with the Stargate, they showed us how to use the foam rubber mixture. Basically a two-part thing that you mix together
Wow.
and you pour it in the mold.
Yeah.
And they helped us do the 12 pieces for the Stargate and mount them. Um, so that was probably the most random thing. Just from the word go, the amount of love we got from Stargate Productions and Bridge Studios was absolutely fantastic. And then getting to meet everyone as well, not only the producers and everything, we spent 3 or 4 days at Norco, the set making part, and the people that worked there were just so cool and awesome. They're just all laid back people. They're all tradespeople. They were carpenters and plasterers
Yeah.
and just everything, and model makers. I spent about an hour talking to the lady who polished the crystal skulls. So they were a polymer, and she would take them home of a night time, sit in front of the television with a crystal skull with like the finest sandpaper you can get, whatever it is, like 1,000 grit sandpaper or something. And she'd sit there watching TV going, "Polish, polish, polish." And she polished them for hours. And I was lucky enough to hold one of the crystal skulls, and it looked flawless. They were
Wow.
beautiful things. And the studio actually donated one of the crystal skulls to the Gatecon charity auction, and I think it went for about $10,000. So that was
Wow.
pretty awesome.
That sounds about
So
right. Yeah.
that was
That's
my
amazing.
random my cool. I'll say
That's
one
cool.
of the coolest random moments. My other moments where they just go, "Oh yeah, oh just give us a call and say, look, can you meet us here? We're going to take you on set." So that was really awesome. I mean, we got to go on the bridge of the Prometheus. Got to go onto the bridge of Hatak. Um, we had a tour through the SGC. Peter DeLuise directed us and taught us how to step through the Stargate properly. So there's a way you have to step through
Awesome.
the Stargate properly. You're not allowed to step on the line where the
Right.
wormhole would be. You have to step
Right. The
over it.
event horizon. You got to do a little hop,
Yeah,
right?
the event horizon. Yeah. So he directed us doing that. Michael Greenberg was there. I hung out with Michael Greenberg's son in the control room, and he was a really cool little kid. Like he was only about 4 years old then. He was really cool. Um, Probably the most impressive set I ever saw was the Atlanta set. Um, that and this was just as Atlantis Rising Part One was about to air, so we got to see the set just before the show aired.
Yeah.
But we weren't allowed to take cameras on set, which was a shame. So we couldn't take any photos. Um, I got to see the Tokra Caves. I think I got to see the old Tokra Caves. But we definitely got to see the new Tokra Caves, the one with the hexagon sort of poles, and then for some reason a lot of hay, like the hay that horses eat, which was spray painted black. That was cool. But one of the most impressive sets I ever got to go on was from the episode The Light, the one with the big device in the middle.
Yeah.
The device wasn't there, but that room that the device sits in was just awesome. So there's a photo of me somewhere sitting in the middle of the room meditating because it was just so serene
Do they
and
have all the
such
light
a beautiful little
projections on
set.
the wall?
No, there was no lighting up at the time, but just the set itself
Just the space. That's
was
cool.
excellent. So, yeah, we got to visit. Well, there were two main sound stages. At the time, we weren't allowed to disclose the location of the second stage um, because it was top secret. They didn't want fans just randomly showing up. We could just use the code name Norco. You probably know what that is.
Yeah, I've been to Norco.
But sorry,
I've been to
you've been
Norco,
there?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where they shot a lot of exterior shots as well for one of the Martin Lloyd episodes was where they're on a loading dock. That was the loading dock to Norco. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, a lot of little random moments like that. Yeah, things we never expected. That they just wanted to show us because they're that type of people. They were really nice, really accommodating, and brilliant people.
Let's go.
Sorry
Let's go
for the
back to
long
chat.
answer there.
No, let's go back to chat, and then I want to maybe pull up some pictures and go down memory lane a little bit. Let's see. Highlander2 says, "Hi, Allan. Very long time Ausgate player and Gatecon attendee." Hi
That's all
from
right. I know who H
Highlander.
is. Yeah, yeah, I
And
know exactly who she is.
we have an answer on Drummer Woman. Drummer Woman is Gilder. Gilder McCarroll from
Oh,
Texas.
hi, Gilda.
Hi, Gilder.
No. Oh, wow. It's been so many years. Hi, Gilda.
Yeah. One of those
Wow.
names, right? There's I mean, GateCon's not a big, huge 20,000 person event. These
No, we're usually a
smaller
limit of around about
fan
1,000 people.
events. Yeah, 1,000 tops, a few
Yeah.
hundred more recently, and it's so
Yeah.
Stargate back in the day when the show was in production, and still to this day going to conventions like GateCon. The last one was in 2022. It's a family, and you get to see some of the same people
absolutely.
over and over again, and you hang out on the forums,
Well,
and we get to know names like Gilder.
Gilda was, I'm pretty sure she's been there since the beginning, like the very first convention, and was a regular at every single convention. I don't think she came to the last couple, but oh yeah, I remember Gilda. Did you say Highlander has had a question, or was she just saying hi?
Just saying hi.
Hi, Darren.
Guys, tag us if tag gateworld.net in chat if you want me to be able to spot your thing easily. But I want to go over to here is GateWorld. You might recognize it. I want to go to the Stargate gallery at GateWorld, and then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can find conventions. Okay, now this is getting dangerous. Let me see if we can recenter a little bit here so you can see the whole window. We've collected convention photos from over the years from different photographers, fans who have attended conventions. A few of these are mine, a few of these are David's. But they go back to 2005. So let's look and see what we have here from Gatecon. We've got Comic-Con. We've got some creation events. We've got Shore Leave. I thought we had some of the older Gatecon stuff in here, but maybe we don't. Maybe we just have the newer years.
2000. You've got Gatecon 2008 there.
So let's do 2008. This has been a while.
Oh, excellent.
But here we are. So, Allan, you are the staging coordinator for Gatecon.
Yep.
And so all of the on-stage presentation, right? The set build, and then you're actually managing the stage, managing the guests, introducing folks.
Everything that happens inside that main ballroom is what I organize. So the stage, the audio visual equipment, pretty much everything you see in that room is me, all of the videos, and then I'm lucky enough to be the MC. The costume I'm wearing there is from I can't remember the name of it. It's a replicated one. Is
Unnatural Selection.
Yes, I believe this is one's costume. And then lucky enough we had 5. We had Patrick Curry on at Gatecon at one stage as well. But I think that's one's costume. Yeah. I've had the pleasure of wearing a few costumes, screen worn costumes. That one was okay. It was a touch big for me. Another one that was a little bit too big for me was Carmen Agenziano's Tok'ra costume, which was way too big for me. I mean, since the beginning, I've always worn a Tok'ra costume, but it's one I made myself. And then probably one of my most favorite costumes I wore on stage was Tong Macbeth's It's Good to Be King costume.
Oh, no way.
That was, I don't know which convention that was. Oh, look at that skinny guy there.
Handsome devil.
I was so skinny back then and gaunt. I mean, wow.
You make a fetching replicator.
Yeah, thank you. That's the background of that is actually from the replicator sets, I think. They were from the studio, and that was the first year we had Richard Dean Anderson at a Gatecon.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm just looking at the wall on the set piece back there.
Yeah. So we actually we got ambitious with this convention. We actually changed the set on a daily basis. So one day it was the replicator, the next day it was some Gould glyphs or something, I think.
That is ambitious. That is too much work.
That very ambitious.
Doing a big set swing every day. Those are really cool, though.
They are very cool. It's a shame we didn't get to keep them. And the Stargate was a printed Stargate. That was provided by Paul Brown, who at that stage was handling Richard as well.
Yeah, Paul Brown from Legends Memorabilia.
Legends, yes, thank you.
Working with Richard. So fun. See
But
what else we
yeah,
have here in
2008.
2008.
Oh, who we got here? Oh, there's that's
There's Jenny. That's Jenny Stiven.
there's Jenny.
Second from the
Oh,
left.
there's second from the right is Sam
That's
Maggs.
Sam Maggs.
I love her to death. And to the left of Sam is Sam's mum. And look at that guy in the middle there. Is that David?
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's David Reed.
It's a very young David.
Very, very young David. I've known him for a lot of years. But we got some really cool photos. There's actually one of the photos coming up is, I think it was, there's a really big group shot, and that's everyone.
Oh, is this your Jacob
Oh, that's
costume?
it. That's it. It's good to be king. Yeah. No,
Oh,
this is
It's Good to Be
this
King?
is Tom's. Yeah, this is Tom McBeth's costume. And I tell you, that was one of the most comfortable costumes I've ever worn. So me and Tom must be fairly similar sizes. I really wanted to keep that one.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, with the wooden toggles and everything.
Oh yeah,
So
you can see
yeah,
the Gould accents
yeah,
here. See the
yeah. So
mothership walls.
yeah, and even the little things across the front of the stage were from the mothership. No, very cool. But coming up soon, there is a group photo of everyone that was on Ryan Peters' Stargate SG-1 website. There's Cliff.
This was the heyday when they were still in production, right? So we have lots of folks
Yeah,
in Vancouver who are engaged in Stargate and wanting to churn out. Andy Frizzell,
yeah.
the Wraith Queen,
Oh,
got
yeah.
Cliff
She
Simon,
is so
Corin
funny.
Nemec, Steve Basic.
Yeah. Steve's crazy. But we all knew that. He's such a nice guy. Alex Zahara, Dan Payne,
Dan Shea, Garwin Sanford.
Dan Shea. Dan's a legend. Gary.
Gary Jones, Gary Chalk,
Yeah,
Jan
Gary
Newman.
Chalk is. Oh, yeah.
Jan
We've had
Newman,
Jan on a few times.
Stargate's makeup artist.
Yep.
Came over to the
And she's,
show with Rick from MacGyver.
yep, also Australian. Gary
Okay, we got
Chalk
a
is
lot
a
of pictures in here. What else do we need to
great
look at?
person to talk to. Colin Cunningham. I'm going to say for Gatecon, probably our biggest and most long-time supporter. That man is an absolute legend. He turned up to his first Gatecon sort of, I won't say uninvited. He wasn't on the guest invite list. And someone at the convention just said, "Hey, I'm at Gatecon, come on over." And Colin's sort of like, "Oh, what's Gatecon?" He said, "A Stargate fan convention." And he said, "But I'm on my way to my accountant. I've got to be at my accountant's in like 2 hours. Um, I'll quickly drop by." He ended up staying the entire day. Um, Absolutely loved it. Went on stage, talked to everyone, and then missed his appointment with his accountant. He came back the next
Because
day,
he was having too
spent the
much fun.
entire. Yeah, he was. And from then on, he's been to pretty much every GateCon since, and loved it so much. Um, he's just a huge supporter, and just the nicest guy, and just to hang out with him as well. The two conventions we did in England, it was all sort of also close quarters that I just got to hang out with Colin, and the thing is with actors, there's the actor person, and then there's the person, and a lot of people don't get to see the person. But Colin, he's just the coolest guy, and if people probably know he's into mentalism as well. Just some of the things he can do. Not only the bending spoons and things like that, and the mind sort of reading. Um, he's a really cool person. Um, but there's a couple of people that have been Gatecon's biggest supporters, and we're forever grateful for them.
Yeah.
Not only Colin, Eric Avari is just the best. There's just there's a few of them that are just Gatecon stalwarts that we just have to invite every time, and whether they get to turn up or not for shooting schedules or whatever. We are always so happy to have them there. Eric Avari, love him to death. Yeah, I could talk for hours and hours and hours on each and every guest we get. Amanda, beautiful person. That was a good little reunion on stage there.
I saw Amanda at Gatecon in 2018.
Yep.
Yeah, I met Eric Avari Kasuf at Gatecon. I met Colin
Yep.
Cunningham, Major Davis at Gatecon. Props and costumes, which again, I guess is going to be another advantage of
Yeah.
the show.
Oh, so just back up, pink and white shirt. That's Wiley. That's Richard's daughter.
Yep, there's Wiley on stage.
It was so cool meeting her. Like if you got Richard and Wiley in a room together, and you were trying to figure out which one was the parent and which one was the child. Right, Wiley was the parent.
Mm-hmm. Keeping Dad in line.
Richard was the child. She just had to say things like to keep him in line all the time. It was a great dynamic.
Well, having a convention in Vancouver, you especially while the show was in production, you have the advantage of not just the proximity of the cast.
Yep.
And all the day players, but as you said, you have access to production. So this
absolutely
props and costumes. How much of this was just from the set?
Okay, so a lot of this stuff was from these were actually from dealers and people that come in and do displays.
Yeah.
And off the top of my head, I cannot remember the name of the company that bought all of these in. Sometimes conventions go a bit of a blur.
This was a while ago.
Yeah.
There's a vial of tritonin.
Oh, this might have been Legends that bought this stuff in. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the dealer's room very often. All of the on stage stuff that happened, getting guests on and off the stage, sometimes trying to just get them on the stage, trying to organize the next panel that's coming up after who's on stage. I rarely got to see the on stage talks or see the rest of the convention. If I wasn't in the main auditorium, I was usually outside grabbing a coffee before I had to go and do something else.
Tell us about this. This is a very
special.
So
this was
very special.
This was
2008.
Okay, so 2008. This was I can't remember who set this up. But 2008, just after Don had passed, um,
Dawn
we
passed, I think, in June. I think it was late June.
yeah yeah. So this was around either September or September, August or September, I think this was. So it was quite fresh, and there was like the commemorative book there where people could write messages and things like that. Um, and I believe on stage we always um, had an empty chair on stage at all times, and that was a chair for Don because
Hmm.
he's always been there. He's always loved, and he's just one of those people.
What did Don
Um,
Davis mean to Gatecon?
Don was he was. It's hard to put it into words because he's just such a genuinely nice guy. Um, his deep voice. I mean, he was. I mean, to Gaycon, Don was the very first guest ever to appear on stage at Gaycon.
Well, I see. He was the very
So
first.
the very first to come on stage, and then I learnt the hard way about the internet that never believe anything that's on the internet. And I based Don's introduction off whatever it was, his Wikipedia page, which was a few years out of date. So I said something that was not relevant, not current, and I felt really embarrassed about it.
Did he come out on
But
stage and
Don,
correct you?
no, Don just let it ride. He didn't say a thing about it. I only found out afterwards, and I just felt like an absolute idiot. So
Hmm.
from then on, I stopped introducing guests with a spiel, with a bio, with a background story.
Okay.
I would just I would just introduce the guests. Um, and then if I did have something to say, it would be something to do with personal experience or something I knew to be fact. Um, but I mean, it wasn't too bad. It was just something that was a little bit out of date. At least I got it right where he was born and everything. And so Don was the first one on stage, and he just made us feel comfortable. So we were first time convention creators. Um, I'd just been on stage for the very first time in front of 400 people, which was our capacity for the first one. It was at the old Radisson Hotel, which overlooked Bridge Studios
Hmm.
in Burnaby. Um,
This is
we're all
2000,
happy.
right?
Yeah,
The first Gatecon
this is
is in
2000.
2000.
Yeah, 2000. Um, so luckily they condemned and demolished that hotel because it was a death trap. It was terrible. Um, but Don made us feel comfortable. And I'd just been on stage doing my very first introduction. And if you ever see the footage, I am so nervous. Yeah, my voice is quivering trying to introduce people because I was so nervous. And I introduced Don. He um, came on. He was so good with the audience. He was brilliant. And
He
then he kept
loved his
himself,
fans. He loved going to
he
Gatecon. He loved
did.
his fans. He loved interacting with
Yeah.
people.
He I mean, when we get a guest for GateCon, I mean, if it's contractual or whatever, I mean, usually they've sort of got about three things a day to do. They've got their 1 hour stage talk, which sometimes goes over. They might have an autograph session. They might have a photo session. They might have a meet and greet somewhere. That's pretty much the minimum that they are required to do. But then sometimes, some guests get out there and they like to interact with the fans, with people. Don hung around all weekend, was so nice, got to know us. And at our first convention, we hadn't planned everything out to the nth degree. So one thing, I mean, every GateCon now ends with a closing ceremony where we bring all of the guests on stage and we thank everyone. The guests get to thank the fans for such a good weekend. But at the very first convention, we didn't plan a closing ceremony because it just didn't dawn on us to do that.
Hmm.
But Don planned one for us. So Don was not only the first person on stage at GateCon, the very first GateCon, he was also the very last person on stage at the first GateCon. And unknown to us, he'd actually gathered everyone together. He brought all of the guests on stage, and he then called us up on stage, the four organisers. And there were flowers for us. And I think some of the crew and volunteers and everything were organising this all together as well. And then Don did a little bit of a speech about how much he enjoyed it, and then he come out with this line that has sort of stuck with us like forever since. I can't remember the exact line. They planted a seed which was gate. They planted a seed, and then outgrew.
Yeah.
And then with love, outgrew Gatecon. I can't remember the exact line. Yeah.
This is done in 2007. With apologies to the Gatecon team, this is the one I could find is from another event.
That's quite all right,
but he had such a blast on stage. He had such a blast interacting with fans, and he would be an absolute goofball one moment, and then he was able to answer those serious questions and get really introspective and thoughtful at the same time.
Oh yeah. He had a real fun side to him. I don't know if there's images anywhere. I think it was one of the early GateCons. It might have been 2003 or 2004, where during the charity auction we had Sue-Ann's Hathor wig, the red Hathor wig, and when we auctioned something off, the guests would take that item and show it off to people and sort of parade it around. The Hathor wig come up, and Don put on the Hathor wig, and
I've seen pictures of this.
Best. That was probably one of the best nights ever. So Don was just absolutely crazy. I think it was the same year before the convention, Don invited us around to his house just to come over and have a drink. Nothing official. So we went around to Don's place. We drank his beer. We played with his dog. Don played with his dog. One thing that struck me about Don was he played this tug of war game with his dog, a bit of rope, and the dog would try and take it off him. And you look at Don's arms, and they were tree trunks. They were so big and muscly. He was a fit man, and that was fun. And then we sat down and we watched TV, and Don showed us his art studio because he was a painter as well. At that stage, he was doing sort of his, sort of Jackson Pollock-ish type paintings. So we got to see them. And then each year at a GateCon, we do an intro video where we showcase the fans. Because conventions are about fans. They're not about the fans come to see the people on stage, but the convention isn't about the people on the stage. The convention is about the fans themselves. So from the very first convention, we start the convention with a music video, and I get all the attendees to send in their photos, and I did do a little intro video. It started in 2000 with Vanessa Amorosi's Absolutely Everybody, and it's got a good beat, and people clap along to it, and it hypes them up for the convention, because it's from the early days, I said that what I don't want to do with GateCon is make it like a Comic Con, make it like a standard convention where you've got a bit of a backdrop, you've got a desk, you've got some microphones on a desk, and people sit there and talk to the audience. I said that's not going to happen. It needs to be an immersive experience. There has to be a set. There has to be a closeness to the audience. It has to be intimate, and it has to be fun. So that's why we always did stages. We always did sets. We always had like a Stargate, multiple screens, and the video helps just hype people up and get them into the mood for the convention.
Yeah,
If the
it's a fun
convention starts
experience.
off happy, everyone's happy going through. Not always, but going through. And for the next 2 years, I used two different songs. And then people started hounding me saying, you've got to bring back absolutely everybody. So I did. So every convention since has always been absolutely everybody. In 2004, I contacted Vanessa Ramorosi's agent, who at that time, his name's Mark Holden. At that time, he was one of the judges on the X Factor as well.
Hmm.
So I emailed him and actually got a response back. And I just said, hey, Mark, my name's Allan. We told him about the intro video, told him we do a big charity auction for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We produce a DVD at the end. Would it be okay if we included the track on the DVD? And he just said, absolutely. How many do we expect to sell? So I told him. He said, okay, well, yes, you can do that. You can limit it to 400 copies, but you can distribute it. So we got official permission to use the song.
That's great.
We put the music video on the DVD, and it's been, Gatecon's theme song since 2000. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I've only been to 2 GateCons, and I can't imagine the opening ceremonies
It's
without
criminal,
it.
isn't it? You should have been there.
I should have been there back in the day, yeah. So I was living in
Yeah.
Chicago. When you guys were having all this fun, I was living in Chicago and working full-time with a young family and then overseas. So there was a gap, right? There was a gap when Stargate went off the air and GateCon was not having conventions anymore. What was the biggest span of time before the sort of the big return?
Okay, so the return, the first return or the second return? We've sort of returned a couple of times.
Yeah.
Our first run went from 2000 to 2005. We did one every year. 2005 was not a fun convention. There's a lot happened behind the scenes with someone who was a major sponsor of the convention, who ended up trying to twist the convention around to suit his own needs. He was there just to take advantage of us. It was simple as that. We got disheartened by that, and we basically said, look, that's it. We're over. We're not going to do this again, especially
fans,
not around.
Right? Now we should say for people who you're fans, we should say for people who are not familiar with Gatecon, this is not a for-profit enterprise. Gatecon is a bunch of fans who got together and decided Stargate needs a convention. Let's just do one. We've never done it before, but let's just do one. And you guys learned as you went. You weren't making money. In fact, Gatecon has always been raising charity for. Has it always been Make-A-Wish Canada?
Well, we try to keep it Make-A-Wish. There was once or twice through a deal with one of the guests, we had to switch our charity to another charity. We weren't too happy with that, although the charity was well deserving. We felt like we had to sell our soul to get this guest on stage. The selling our soul bit was because we had to change charity. We historically always supported Make-A-Wish Foundation, and Make-A-Wish has always supported us. They've brought in Make-A-Wish kids to the convention, to the charity auction, and at least two of them, one of the kids wanted to visit the set, and I think it was 2000. No, it must have been 2003. We had in there. Our most favourite one, and a friend still to this day, is Tara Mitrovic, who, if people don't know, in the episode Solitudes, is it Solitudes? The Cassie episode, where at the end Jack gives her a dog.
Oh yeah, Singularity.
Singularities.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was close. Singularities. Jack gives Cassie a dog. That dog's name is Boomer. Yeah, it's an Earth rule. That dog's name's Boomer. Boomer's, I'll say, mom was Tara, and Tara, through Make-A-Wish, got a wish, and she turned around to make a wish, and she said, "Look, my wish is for my dog to become famous." So the dog, Make-A-Wish contacted Stargate, and so Boomer being in that episode was Tara's wish. And then Boomer also went on to appear in the X-Files and other things like that. I was lucky enough to meet Boomer, hold Boomer, pat Boomer, get photos with Boomer. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. Oh yeah, he was at Gatecon 2004, so he was a guest of Gatecon as well. So that was really cool. Tara, beautiful girl, and I haven't spoken to her for a while, but yeah, probably about a year. But yeah, so nice. Did I just get sidetracked? What was I talking about?
I think so. We were talking about Gatecon and charity. Before I sidetracked you with charities,
right.
What were we on?
We were on the sort of the return type thing.
Yeah. Time span of when you guys have taken breaks.
So after 2005, we thought, that's it. We're gonna take a break, and we decided, after the problems of 2005, we went, that's it. We're not going to do any more. But then we went, hey, why don't we keep going? But we'll take it to England. So we went and did another 2 conventions. The first one was in Cheltenham, and that was fun. That was a small convention. We had Eric Avari, Colin Cunningham. Oh, I can't remember who the other 2 were. Steve Basic, Corin Nemec. Yeah, so that was those. And that was a lot of fun. Wasn't the venue was at the Cheltenham University, not as intimate. It was more like a hall than anything else. And then the following year we went to Reading, and Reading was a really nice little intimate convention. We had Cliff Simon, Sue-Ann Brown, Corin Nemec, Colin Cunningham, and I can't remember who else. Oh, J.R. Bourne. We had J.R. Bourne. And that was one of the most fun, relaxed and fun conventions we've had, because it was the weekend of the Rugby World Cup. And we had both Sue-Ann and Cliff, who were both South African, and South Africa were playing England in the World Cup final on the Saturday night, I think it was, which was our charity auction night. So we decided to pause the charity auction, put the game up on the big screen.
On the big screen, yeah.
So everyone, because the majority of the audience were English or British. So so we put it up on the big screen. Cliff and Sue-Ann, big rugby fans, they're watching away. Colin and JR had pretty much no idea what rugby was. So they decided to commentate the game, and not knowing a thing about the sport, not knowing what was happening, they're
Perfect.
commentating the game. It was one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen in my life. It was great. And then we had the famous incident of someone there had a rugby ball, a Gilbert rugby ball. Sue-Ann gets the ball and wants to kick it into the crowd. So she kicks the ball and she kicks it straight into the camera, into the face of our conductor, Elaine. So her camera slams into her face, and Sue-Ann's like, "Oh my God, what
Oh
just happened?"
no.
And that's and Elaine was fine, and she took it in all good. She was really good about it. Um, but Sue-Ann said, "Look," she pulled me aside. She says, "Look, every one of these conventions I come to, every time I get here, Elaine comes up and she goes, 'Remember you kicked me in the face with the rugby ball?'" She's just going, "Oh, I wish it would stop." So it's a stage where in 2016, when I designed the set for the return convention, so this is where you get to the return as well, embedded in there because that was the inside of an Egyptian tomb, and I had actual ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs on the walls, and there's a big effigy of Hathor on there holding an urn, but I turned the urn into a rugby ball and then showed Sue-Ann. She attended that convention as well, so I did show her. So 2005, 6, 7, we were in England, and then we were going to stop again. But then 2008, we had the opportunity to, as you saw from the photos, get Richard Dean Anderson. It was only his sort of, since MacGyver days, his second convention back. He'd just done another one in England, and he'd come along to ours, so that was good. So 8. And then I can't remember. I think whether we took a, no, we didn't. I think the next one was 2010, and then my mind goes blank. And then because I think we had a big break after that, and then
Yeah.
our return was 2016.
Yeah.
So we come back in 2016 with a big convention, with the big sets, with lots of guests. And I think that's one where we had MGM support as well. Yes. Was it? What was your first convention? 2018.
2018 was my first event, and that was Stargate Command was there. Jenny was there repping
Right. So
with Stargate Command.
2018 was the MGM supported
Had
event.
the
Yes.
room, yeah, with
Yep.
MGM supporting. If you guys have watched some of the interviews, some of the more recent cast interviews that I've done here on GateWorld, there was a handful were from that event.
Yep.
So I interviewed Amanda, right? I interviewed Michael and Lexa at that event, and that was a blast. That was coming in as a newbie to Gatecon and experiencing that was not just family, but it was a family reunion because you guys hadn't been together much for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And then we had the
It had
COVID
been two
delay, and
years.
we did it again in
Yep.
2022, which was the last one.
Yep. Yeah. So that one was, I really enjoyed that one. Although with MGM involvement, it made it such a bigger convention to organise. So we were getting more equipment and
Yeah.
and everything, but it was so much fun.
And they did a
Um,
stream, I think, didn't they? Bring in equipment
yeah,
to stream it.
we decided that I would buy the equipment to or Gatecon would part buy it with me to be able to live stream every single panel. And yeah, we're coming into the times where live streaming counts.
Yeah.
So we created a digital ticket for people who couldn't come to the convention to watch live, and then through MGM, through Stargate Command, we agreed that there would be certain panels that Stargate Command would live stream as well. Sort of back before the days of a simulcast as well, not even just simulcast. So that went there. So that was the Amanda panel and a couple of others, and then that was really cool because I got to catch up with David again. I got to finally meet Evie and Nicole from Wormhole Extremists, and I get to meet people I'd been talking to for a while, but hadn't actually got. And you, yeah, I got to meet you for the first time as well.
Finally. Yeah.
So that's what I think. That's what I said to you when I saw you just outside the ballroom. It's about time.
That's right. It's about time. I remember that.
Yeah. So we had the big break, and then come back from that. COVID interrupted everything. I got back from which was the last one, 2022. I was fine through it. I got home and then found out I picked up COVID in Canada. Brought it home with me.
Yeah, I
had
came
to
home with
isolate
COVID.
for 2 weeks, which was actually pretty cool because you get home from a convention, you're pretty exhausted, you just want to relax for a week or two. I had a forced relax for a week or two, so that was fine. I sat there and watched TV 2 weeks. So that was good to come back, and now since 2022, we're now on. I wouldn't even call it a break. We've sort of almost retired. I mean, there was the hope straight
That's
away.
what I heard. Right. That's kind of the way that the team was talking in 2022. Was this feels like the last hurrah? There was no sign that Stargate was coming back.
No, and then not long after that, that's when whatever, a year or so later, uh, Amazon MGM, Amazon Prime bought MGM. We started getting a little bit hopeful that there could be a new Stargate series, and we'd said to ourselves, look, we'll only do another Gatecon if they announce a new series, and and we all pretty much agreed on that. But at that stage, Fryn had made the decision to retire from Gatecon, so which also would then include Steph and Ian. So it's pretty much me and Richard left, and we said, look, it's only going to be worth doing another convention if they announce a new series. And a year went on, and there was no
Which
word.
Is reasonable.
Another year went on. Yeah, because there's a lot of initial outlay to start to do a convention. I mean, sure, if we sell enough tickets, the convention pays for itself, but there's a lot of outlay before the fact as well. So we take the risk every convention of outlaying things with the hope that we sell enough tickets to run the convention, and then get to a stage, because the majority of any sort of profit margin is usually going to charity anyway. So both me and Richard sort of got to the stage where they're not announcing anything. Well, this could be it. It's sort of probably time for us to retire. And then, a couple of weeks ago, I've stayed in touch with people. I've been on, some of David's, quiz podcasts a few times and absolutely loved it. I still try and continue working on the new Ausgate site. And then, the few weeks ago when you said, I'd love to interview you, I sort of went, okay, well, that's pretty cool. Not knowing you had an ulterior motive at the time.
Well, you were already on my list to book for a live stream anyway. I was going to do it anyway, but the timing just happened to be between the time I decided to email you and actually sending the email was when we heard from Martin Garrow that they're working on a new show. And the announcement hadn't gone out. We knew for about a week. And I was trying to be encouraging but coy, right? Come on the live stream. Come on GateWorld. I bet we'll have something to talk about.
That's fine.
There's probably going to be things to talk about, right?
Yeah, and then then I get the heads up from David basically saying, you've got to be awake tonight. And I'm sort of going, what the hell is going on? And then the announcement comes out, and I'm like, oh my God, here we go. And everything starts. I understand how busy you guys were, you and David. But my head just starts churning over and over and over. And my head's thinking Gatecon, Ausgate, everything else around it.
So let's
what to do next.
let's take a pause here and talk about the show. Talk about Stargate coming back for you as a fan, and
Yep.
then I want to talk about the potential impacts that it has on Ausgate and Gatecon. But how did you feel when you heard the news?
Oh, the first thing I sat there quietly watching it, and I was fist pumping and everything. Um, I'm excited about it, especially because it's Martin, it's Brad, it's the team. The team's back together. I'd like to see how many more of the team are going to be in on it as well. Um, you know, for many years, Peter DeLuise was the walking Stargate encyclopedia.
Mhm.
Will Peter be in there as well? Who else is going to be there? Um, it's I'm more excited for who's going to be doing it
Yeah. If
almost as the show itself.
if they decide to shoot in Vancouver again, then that opens up
I would
a
love
whole world
that.
of possibilities for
Yeah,
people who, right, not just that's cool because they're still working and it'd be great to get a job again, but people
yeah,
like Peter DeLuise, like Martin Wood, who contributed so much to what the franchise is and are
yeah,
holding all that institutional knowledge, right? Peter's a walking
yeah,
encyclopedia.
yeah. Um, who I'm excited about who and what might be coming back. Um, but not. I mean, a lot of people are focusing on, oh, what's the storyline going to be? Who are going to be the main characters? I I don't
Yeah, we'll
think
get
that's
there.
going to be much of an issue because I have the trust I have in the showrunners. I just know the show's going to be good. I don't want to sit here and speculate. And the more you speculate and the more you guess, you're already starting to ruin the show for yourself.
Setting
So I
yourself
like
up
to
for
be,
disappointment at
yeah,
the very
absolutely.
least.
So I try not to think about what's going to happen with the show and where it's going to lead us. All of my thoughts have been the little things. The first, the biggest thing that I am waiting to see is when they step through the Stargate at the very first time, what's the wormhole going to look like? They redid
Yeah.
it for Atlantis.
Yep.
What's it gonna look like for the new show? Because they just can't go and reuse the Atlantis one. Everyone's going to go, eh. Um, they've got new technology. They've got new special effects.
Yeah,
They've got new
and the puddle
budgets.
as well, right? The Kawoosh,
We
the
have
event horizon.
absolutely. What's it going to look like? Um, that's what I'm excited for. Things like that. Little things that keep popping into my head every now and then. Is Sergeant Siler going to be back? Are they bringing the wrench back? Um,
They're bringing the wrench back.
only diehard fans will know what I'm talking about there.
Yeah,
Is the wrench going to come back? Is Siler going to come back?
Siler and his
Is
giant wrench, along with
is
Major Wood.
Walt is Walter Harriman going to be back? Is Gary Jones? Is he going to be there? Are we going to see faces like that for us oldies or us long-time fans or even new-time fans that have gotten into the show now? Um, are they going to be back to make us feel at home? And knowing the showrunners, we're probably going to get little bits like that. If not, a regular reoccurring cast member or a character or something. That's what I want to see.
Yeah,
So
I sure hope so.
yeah,
Let's go.
that's what I'm excited about.
Let me pause this here and go into chat, guys. If you have any questions or thoughts, anything that you want us to talk about on the new show and the future of Stargate, now's the time. I saw some earlier that I wanted to hold off on until we got to this point in the conversation. But John Ewald gave us £4.99. I can only see part of your username, John. Sorry about that. Eulden. John Eulden. Thank you for that. John says, really enjoying the show. So glad Stargate is coming back. My excitement has dialed and locked Chevron 8. Thank you also to Jeff at Suns and Shadows for gifting 5 members. And I think we're caught up. What else is going on in chat, guys? At gateworld.net if you want to make sure that I see it here. I'm also trying to pay attention to... I have no idea how long our time delay is right now. Hopefully it's just a few seconds, because I'm looking at the live stream on the YouTube interface and on the back end, and it's like, I don't know, a half an hour behind. I assume that that's not what people are seeing. Okay, Dam Surfer 522. It has been stated that the new show will be based in current time. That being said, do we think the Space Force will acquire the SGC? The Air Force has always been a big part of the show, at least of SG-1. Does that need to be updated, or is it? You think this is an Air Force show? Is this a Space Force show? Is this an international? Right, the Stargate program in 2027, has it gone international? Or
Like
is maybe
Atlantis,
this show not even on Earth?
Yeah, as I said, I don't want to speculate on too much because I don't want to, yeah, like you said, set yourself up for disappointment. It will still be, a government agency running it. Hopefully not the NID. It shouldn't be. That would be terrible. Because that'd be too much drama too quick, or something like that. Yeah, it could be Space Force. You never know. As long as it's a responsible military organization, I think that's what it's probably going to be.
Right, so by
Then,
Atlantis and by Stargate Universe, they had kind of shifted to Homeworld Command. Homeworld Command is kind of a broader umbrella agency, still part of the U.S. government, but with that connection with the International Oversight Advisory, the IOA.
Yeah.
I would imagine something like that, right? 20 years is a long time, or 15 years is a long time. But I would imagine something like a Homeworld Command that's become a little bit more internationalized.
Similar, but we've obviously had evolution happening since the end of SGU type thing. 14 years real time type thing. So yeah, it'll evolve. That's who's running it isn't too high on my priority. Although for cosplayers, it's going to be a huge priority because the uniforms are going to start coming out in force everywhere.
Whitney Nolan VFX asked, will GateWorld be at the next San Diego Comic-Con, and will you need volunteers? I don't know yet. That's a fantastic question. One of the things that I want to follow up with Martin about is see if we can squeeze out a little bit more information on the timeline. I suspect that Comic-Con 2026 is going to be too early for the studio to actually be doing anything like a panel. So it's unlikely that I personally will go unless there is a Stargate event happening that is actually on the schedule. So yeah, let's figure it out here in the next few months and see if there are other Stargate fans who are going to be at Comic-Con in San Diego this summer. Maybe we can connect. And Allan, Whitney's asking you the big question. Do you think there will be another Gatecon soon?
At this stage, we don't know, but we are actively talking about it. For Gatecon to happen, like we said before, there's a lot of initial cost to get a convention going, and that cost isn't only monetary; it's time and resources. We've started to put a list together of goals we need to hit to be able to do another Gatecon. The first main part of that will be a guest list. It's no use doing another convention if we can't get access to whoever the new stars of the new show will be. If we can get access, if we can lock in some of those stars, and people know in Gatecon it's not always the big stars, it's the recurring characters and some people that have only been in one episode. If we can lock in someone like that, then it starts to become worth it. If
There's
we
so much
can
renewed
lock
energy
in,
now. I,
oh
I
yeah,
I would say, yeah,
absolutely.
even all the old timers, all the favorites, the Colin Cunninghams and the Alex Zaharas and Eric
Yeah.
Avaris, I think people would turn out, and the numbers would just be
Oh,
higher than they were
absolutely.
a couple of years ago.
And
But
when
yeah,
you
I imagine, you know more about this than I do, but I imagine that, as far as the new cast goes of the new show, Amazon might not want them to do events until after the show's premiered.
release, yeah, absolutely.
That's just a guess.
Yeah. So, and firstly, we would never do another GateCon without the original guests, the old guests as well. We need OG guests at GateCon because that's
Yeah.
what GateCon's always been about.
Yeah, it's the
But
family.
if we can get some of the new guys in, the new people in, if we can get some support somehow of the showrunners, if we can get Martin there or Brad there, um, or Joe there. I mean, Joe is absolutely great in Fandom. We've loved having Joe in at GayCons as well. Joe got me through the downtime between Stargates with Dark Matter, which is one of my, probably now my second favorite show in history. Absolutely
Yeah.
adore that show. If we can get them there as well, and I don't think we'd have too much of an issue getting them there. If a few things fall into place, we can then start planning for the future. I mean, even with a venue, you now have to book venues like 2 years ahead.
2 years out, yeah.
Yeah, you can't just go, oh, we want to do a convention next year. So the timing of the new series, if I'm not sure if they were in development or pre-production at the moment. We're looking a year, 2 years away anyway. We probably wouldn't if we did do a GateCon, we probably wouldn't do it until the series is released anyway. We'd want people having a familiarity with who the new cast are before we get them
That
on
makes
stage.
sense.
Otherwise, you're going to have people coming in asking questions that they're not going to be allowed to answer. They're not going to know the person's role in the show, so there's going to be no context to ask the
Yeah.
questions. So the show would definitely be released before we would hold a
Okay.
convention.
That
But
makes
it's
sense.
something myself and Richard are discussing at the moment.
Good.
Um, we're going to keep talking to other people like yourself, David, and just get your thoughts on things as well, how to move forward. Because now Frin has retired, when we need to think how the organizational structure will work within GateCon, because Frin handled all the guests. That was one of her main jobs. I mean, Frin was the sort of the big overlord, overseer of
Yeah.
GateCon.
Might just need
So
new organizers, new members of that core founding
yeah.
team.
So but because it's been me, Richard, Frin, and Sue for many years. Sue retired in 2005. It's hard for us to say, oh, we're going to get some new people in, because will new people in change what GateCon is? Will it change the soul of GateCon? So we
Yeah.
need to maintain that that level of what GateCon is, maintain control, where in the past others have tried to wrestle that
Co-opt it.
control off
Yeah.
us for their own nefarious reasons. And and just have, appoint some new department heads type thing. Who's going to look after the guests? Who's going to fill the 200 jobs that Frin used to do?
Yeah.
Frin had the
Exactly.
worst job out of all of us, and she did it the best way. So we're going to really miss her, and I'd love to get her to the convention, retired or not, just so she could come to another
Let her,
convention, and
yeah, come out and have fun.
just so I can see her again. I mean, we live in different parts of the world. I haven't seen anyone since 2022.
Yeah.
So I just love to be able to catch up with them again face to face, give them a big
Yeah.
hug.
They can retire from the work, but they can't retire from the family.
Exactly.
John
So
Yulden. Yeah,
yep,
let me do a couple comments here and
you're
then
right.
you can keep going. Erica's here too. Mama Knox Erica has a great question. But first, John
Yeah.
Yulden says, I'm just looking at a new part of the universe the new series will take us. My trust in Martin, Brad, and Joe is absolute for this new series. And Mama Knox Erica, question for Allan. Do you think now that things are more official that they'll make pure Stargate conventions have to bid for a license to do them?
I hope they are. I hope they don't have to. I did see your your comment there, Mama Knox. Um, because if they do, in the same. We'll end up down the same path as we did uh, a few years ago, where they'll make us try and bid against each other. And basically, the people with the deepest pockets will
People with the
win.
deepest pockets with the most resources, yeah. And that makes it
Absolutely.
different. That makes it
So,
a different convention.
yeah, so it rules Gatecon out of the picture. It rules Mama Knox out of the picture. You know, the grassroots conventions where they're fan conventions run by fans who know what fans want, not bigger convention companies that are running conventions. I'm not saying they don't do it because they love it, but they're doing it for a profit. They're doing it for money. We're not in it for money, but they're a full-time company.
Yeah,
That's if they
that's
didn't
their
do it for
business.
profit, they'd be silly not to. So yeah, there is absolutely no bad blood there, but we're just different operational structures. Um, if they make us bid against each other, like MGM tried to do with us, I think back in 2003, 2004, where they basically said, look, we'd love you to have an official license for your conventions. And we went, that's fantastic. And they said, great, all we need is your $70,000 upfront payment.
Yeah.
And
Licenses aren't
we
free.
went, we don't, yeah, where are we going to get $70,000 from? We're a break-even convention that donates to charity. We don't have
Right.
money before the convention. We're not a business. So then obviously, the official license goes to someone who can afford to pay for it. Um, we were lucky. Yes, the other convention companies had the official license, and I haven't been to one of their conventions, so I can't say, whether good, bad, great. I'm not sure because it's hard for me to travel being in Australia. And but where was I going? But lucky for us, we weren't the official Stargate convention, but according to Stargate Productions and Bridge Studio,
That's it
we were
exactly.
their preferred convention. So that's why they came to us. Um,
And that's been my
they loved us. We
experience.
loved them.
My experience
I
with
mean, I
Bridge
know
as
that.
well is
Yeah,
if Brad or Martin or whoever is in charge of the new show, right? In the case of the new
yeah,
show, it's Martin, knows you and can just go to Amazon and say, these are our guys. They're doing something that's
yeah,
important. They're doing something that's
yeah,
valuable to this fan base. License or no, they need to be supported.
yeah. And that's what Stargate Productions has always done for us, and we're
Yeah.
forever grateful.
Yeah.
Um, unfortunately, I'll have to go soon. It's been a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
2 hours
I'm keeping
already.
you
I mean,
longer than I meant to.
I could talk for another 2 hours
We'll
quite
just have
easily
you
with you.
back because it's so much fun. We'll just have you
Absolutely,
back next year. But yeah.
absolutely.
And guys, if you're interested in some of these smaller, more intimate fan conventions, certainly we hope that we get GateCon back here in a couple years. But Mama Knox also runs her own event. Look up on, I think, Facebook. Look up, follow the Yellow Gate Road on Facebook. And see what is going on there. I do my best to kind of monitor the dedicated Stargate conventions. If you look at gateworld.net/conventions, I don't look at it right now because I haven't updated it in months. But we'll try and keep tabs on what's going on in Stargate fan convention world. There's always been a few, and hopefully with the show coming back, there's going to be more and more and more at different places all over the world. Alan, do you have any final words of wisdom or enthusiasm?
Words of wisdom. I don't know. I hope everything between now and release of the show goes smoothly. Um, I know that all the showrunners are going to do a great job. Um, the community needs to come together more. Oh, well, not more, but just stick together.
Yeah.
We need to build our community, get the new people in.
Get the new people in. Yeah.
I'm watching. I'm a bit of a fan of reaction videos on YouTube. There's a few new people that have started experiencing Stargate that are so fun to watch, and they're getting right into it. I will do a shout out to that casual nerd guy. Oh, casual nerd reactions. That's it. He's been a lot of fun to watch, and he's getting so into it. We noticed a trend at the last Gatecon that from the first convention to building up, our audience kept getting older because we kept getting older.
Sure.
But then the last two conventions, 2018, 2022, the audience started getting younger, which is a really positive sign.
Interesting.
Yeah, because people started watching it on streaming. They could get access to it. There were new fans coming out. Parents were showing their kids. It's exciting because the next level of fans are coming through. And the good thing about the Stargate fandom, unlike, say, Star Wars, the Star Wars fandom, where there's two distinct sides, love it or hate it type thing, always arguing, the Stargate fandom is actually the opposite. It's bringing people back together. So the old and the young can talk about shared experience with Stargate.
Yeah,
and that's why I love the Stargate fandom. That's why I love the people that come to conventions. I love the cosplayers. I love just anyone who likes Stargate, because it's a great community. And I know the word's thrown out way too often, and that's the word family. We become a family. We become a Stargate family, regardless of whether you come to conventions or not, what you do, what your participation is with Stargate. Everyone enjoys Stargate. Yeah, there's people with opinions, and opinions are great. But there's you don't get the big arguments like in the Star Wars camp. Everyone can discuss it like adults, which is great.
Yeah. There are arguments, there are opinions for sure, and there are arguments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're all in this together.
Yeah, absolutely. We all just want what's best for the show, what's best for us. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, you will really definitely have to have me back on.
Yeah, we'll have you back in the new year and keep going as we get more information about the next show and what it's going to be.
And
we'll be looking for people to talk to about
with
it.
Gatecon as well.
Yeah.
And but there's still stuff I can tell you about Gatecon, about Ausgate, about life in general. I mean, Stargate has, from the first time watching Stargate, my life has been influenced by it ever since. My business name is Ausgate Technologies. My business name is literally named after the show in some way. Mm-hmm. Almost everything I do has some sort of Stargate base to it. It's great.
Well, let's have you back. I know that Stargate has really impacted you and your life and your career personally. I want to make sure that we have time to talk about that more. Next time we have you back. You know what I'm really excited about, though, now that you say all this and there's kind of hope for Gatecon to come back again. I'm thinking about the next Gatecon when it's, maybe a couple of years out. Maybe the show is
Yeah.
premiered by then. I'm going to go to that event, and
You better be.
there's
Better
going to be
come.
people at Gatecon, whatever the subtitle is for the next Gatecon. There's going to be people at the next Gatecon who are brand new to Stargate, who have never been to a
Oh,
convention before,
absolutely. Yeah.
who have never watched the show before. Maybe the new show is going to be the first Stargate they've ever seen, and they're going
Yeah.
to come out to this convention because you got a cast member. But it's so fun to be on the upswing again for fandom, for our fandom,
Yeah.
to be growing
Yeah.
again, to have energy again, to have this renewed sense of
Yeah.
this is something that I not only I love and it's an important part of my life, my childhood, my family, but I want to share it with somebody now because there's something new coming and it's growing.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited to see how it kind of plays out with Ausgate and GateWorld and Gatecon.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
You're very, very welcome. I've really enjoyed it. I just haven't shut up for 2 hours, and
You're a good talker. Yeah, I'll budget 2 hours next time.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been a pleasure, though. It's been a pleasure.
I just love talking about anything Stargate. It's one of my passions. Stargate, Ausgate, Gatecon. Geez, I could go on for hours, but thank you so much for having me. Yeah. And I'll definitely see you in your new year, and I'll most likely talk to you between them then as well.
For sure. Guys, everybody in the chat, everybody who's watching the replay after the fact, thank you for checking us out. Thank you for being here. You can find a link to Ausgate in the video description at ausgate.net. Check it out. If you have any trouble signing up, you want to look at it further, you can look for information there for how to reach Allan and get your account signed up. And we'll continue, of course, to cover everything going on in Stargate World at GateWorld.net. We'll cover if there's any breaking Gatecon news. You're going to find it at GateWorld for sure. So definitely. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks to our moderators for your work. Suns and Shadows, Hellcats, Raj Luthra. I apologize if there's any other mods who are live with us right now that I missed. Guys, thanks for being here. We're going to see you in the next one. We're going to do one more before Christmas. We're going to have David Reed on in 2 weeks' time on December the 15th or December the 19th to talk about season 5 of Dial the Gate as David wraps up the season of his show. We're also going to have some other events in between now and then. I can't announce them today, but keep your schedule clear if you like Stargate live streams. Keep your schedule clear. Maybe Tuesday afternoon next week. We're trying to pull something together, and if the pieces fall into place, it's one that you're gonna make sure that you want to be at. Otherwise, I'll see you in a couple of weeks with David right here at Gate. We're talking about Dial the Gate, but it's not going to be on Dial the Gate. It's going to be right here. Thank you, Allan.
Thanks, Darren. Thanks for everyone watching, and I'll see you all again soon.
All right, be well.
Thank you. Bye.